Are you Americans?
No, Swedish.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's all good.
Guys, you guys gotta get a fucking life.
Get what? Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Hey, sir.
Fucking jerk off.
Sir, can I ask you a question for YouTube?
Fuck out of here.
Sir, can I ask you a question for YouTube?
Fucking
I'm
ruining
pressed.
this country,
I'm
man.
pressed.
Look
I'm
at that.
pressed. I'm pressed.
Get these clowns out of here. They're a fucking clown. This guy Biden's sleeping. He shits his pants. You don't see that shit, you dope.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
You guys are fucking joking. This
Thank
city's
you.
turning to shit.
Thank
And I
you.
bet you're gonna vote for horrible fucking Hochul. Right, Hochul?
And AOC. And fucking AOC. Fuck
You don't like that
AOC.
shit, right?
AOC.
Fuck out of here, man. These people are clowns.
Thank you. Thank you,
Bunch of
sir.
fucking left wing.
Thank you.
Jerk off. And a vote for Hochul is a vote for horrible. Look at you, say nothing. Nothing. I didn't think so.
My name's Adam Francisco on YouTube.
Fucking horrible. You can put it any way you want, big guy. These people are jokers.
Thank
They
you.
don't know what's going on. They're ruining this city. Left-wing jerk-offs. Indict Jim Jordan. Are you serious? Yeah, you're great.
Indict Chuck Schumer.
Exactly.
Indict Nancy Pelosi.
What kind of Jew is Chuck Schumer? He gets abused from the squad and says nothing. What a joke he is. You people are fucking hypocrites. You know what? I'm gonna take a shit later and wipe my ass and think of you people. Because you're ruining this fucking
As the
city.
campaign's
Yeah, you're laughing, jerk off.
Get a better president.
You're fucking laughing, you fucking clown, you woke idiot. You're a woke idiot, you're a woke idiot. You're all woke idiots. You know, I got a job. I got money, you're laughing, jerk off. You're standing in front of a building, you a hypocrite. You're a fucking jerk off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 jerk off.
We want to turn this into a communist country.
Colleagues on the other side want to encourage us to move on from a federal government that was weaponized against the American people that they are supposed to represent and protect. Move on after our FBI was targeting parents who were concerned that their children were being indoctrinated into radical transgender ideologies in their public schools. Move on after the left weaponized the federal government to create a mass censorship industrial complex violating our First Amendment rights. We're supposed to move on after they targeted Catholic Americans, traditional Americans, and labeled them violent extremists. We're told that there's a problem that we can't agree on what's right and wrong, and I agree, that is a huge problem. It's a problem that the other side of the aisle can't recognize that censorship is wrong. It's a problem that the other side of the aisle can't recognize that it's wrong for the FBI to target parents concerned about what they're learning in their schools. It's a problem that the other side of the aisle can't recognize that it's a problem whenever our federal government goes after Christian Americans. That's a serious problem, and that's something we should be able to agree on, but unfortunately, we can't.
Receive most favored nation status for several reasons that I'd like to go into now. I'd like to call the attention of our colleagues to this chart on the status quo that the business community is asking each and every one of us to endorse today. Right now, we have a $34 billion trade deficit with China, the 1995 figure. It will be over $40 billion for 1996. Since the Tiananmen Square massacre, this figure has increased 1,000%, from $3.5 billion then to about $34 billion now. In terms of tariffs, I think it's interesting to note that the average U.S. MFN tariff on Chinese goods coming into the United States is 2%, whereas the average Chinese MFN tariff on U.S. goods going into China is 35%. Is that reciprocal? On exports, China only allows certain industries into China, of U.S. Industries into China, and therefore only 2% of U.S. exports are allowed into China. On the other hand, the U.S. allows China to flood our markets with a third of their exports, and that'll probably go over 40%. And it's limitless because we have not placed any restriction. In terms of jobs, this is the biggest and cruelest hoax of all. Not only do we not have market access, not only do they have prohibitive tariffs, not only are our exports not let in very specifically, But China benefits with at least 10 million jobs from U.S.-China trade. The president in his statement requesting this special waiver said that China trade supports 170,000 jobs in the United States, 170,000 jobs, whereas our imports from China support 10 million jobs at least. Fact is that U.S.-China trade is a job loser. And one of the reasons that it is because well, first let me just make another point, and that is that our colleagues on the other side of this issue will say the trade with China, exports to China have increased 3 times in the last 10 years. They have. But they fail to mention that imports from China have increased 11 times, thereby leading to this huge trade deficit. The other issue, in addition, if intellectual property is a $2 billion, $3 billion loss, technology transfer is in the hundreds of billions of dollars.
How long do you plan to stay in Ireland?
I want forever. I'm Irish now.
How long have you been here in Ireland for?
9 months ago.
9 months. What country are you from?
I come from Jordan, but I'm from Syria.
And how come you wanted to come to Ireland?
I ask, okay, when call me somebody from UN, he tell me, can you go to Sweden, to Germany, to 5 countries maybe. But I know my friends here in Ireland, very good everything in Ireland. I'm Muslim, here no problem.
Where do you live? Do you have a house or do you stay in the hotel?
No, I'm in Iraq Center now.
So does Ireland give you any money every month?
Yeah.
How much money do they give you?
Every week, I'm married, I have 3 daughters, my children. I take same €500 in 1 week.
So every week the Ireland government gives you $500?
Yeah.
How many family or friends came with you to Ireland?
With me come in 9 families, but after me come in also maybe 30 families from Jordan.
Congressman, why do you think Democrats are trying to shut down the government?
Because I think they're trying to inflict as much pain in a political type situation, and that's very pitiful. And also, they want to shut down DOGE because it's getting very close to home, and they know it. They're getting calls from their big contributors saying, hey man, we're getting this federal money, and y'all getting ready to cut it off. We're not going to be able to feed the trough, the campaign trough.
I always hear all the time, family separation, Holman's the godfather saying family separation. Let me be clear. Zero tolerance is about saving lives. If we figure we start prosecuting people who violate the law and put the children in harm's way, maybe they stop coming. And they did. Numbers went down. It's unfortunate families got separated. But it happens to American families every day. It's going to happen in Albany today that American family will be separated by law enforcement because the child can't go to jail with a parent. But we want to talk about family separation? 500,000 children on Joe Biden were trafficked into this country. They can't find 300,000 of them. That's a separation. But you know what President Trump's committed? We're going to find them, and we're going to save them, because many of these children are in forced labor, many of these children are in forced sex slavery. We're going to save them. This administration. What
was Putin's intention in the war? Not the propaganda that's written about this. Oh, that they failed and he was going to take over Ukraine. The idea was to keep NATO, and what is NATO? It's the United States, off of Russia's border. No more, no less. When the Soviet Union ended in 1991, and an agreement was made that NATO will not move 1 inch eastward. Now, what happened after 1991, the United States decided there would be no end to eastward enlargement of NATO. And the decision was taken formally in 1994. When President Clinton signed off on NATO enlargement to the east, all the way to Ukraine and into Georgia. So the NATO enlargement, as you know, started in 1999 with Hungary, Poland, and the Czech Republic. And Russia was extremely unhappy about it, but these were countries still far from the border. So the next round of NATO enlargement came in 2004. With the 3 Baltic states, Romania, Bulgaria, Slovenia, and Slovakia. At this point, Russia was pretty damn upset. So as everybody recalls, in 2007, President Putin said, stop. enough. And of course, what that meant was in 2008, the United States jammed down Europe's throat enlargement of NATO to Ukraine and to Georgia. This is right up against Russia. And Russia protested because if Russia decided to have a military base on the Rio Grande or the Canadian border, not only would the United States freak out, we'd have war within about 10 minutes. And a month later, a war broke out. That gets Georgia destroyed. And starting in 2010, the U.S. put in Aegis missile systems in Poland and then in Romania. And Russia doesn't like that. In 2010, Viktor Yanukovych was elected on the platform of neutrality. Russia had no territorial interests or designs in Ukraine at all. What Russia was negotiating was a 25-year lease for Sevastopol Naval Base. That's it. Not for Crimea, not for the Donbass, nothing. In 2014, the U.S. worked actively to overthrow Yanukovych. Everybody knows the phone call by my Columbia University colleague, Victoria Nuland, and the U.S. Ambassador Peter Piot. Listen to it. It's fascinating.
I don't think Cleach should go into the government. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's a good idea. I think Yats is the guy who's got the economic experience, the governing experience, and, fuck the EU.
No, exactly. And I think we've got to do something to make...
You don't get better evidence. Then came Minsk, and especially Minsk II. It said there should be autonomy for the Russian-speaking regions in the east of Ukraine. It was supported unanimously by the UN Security Council. The United States and Ukraine decided it was not to be enforced. There were many thousands of deaths in the shelling by Ukraine in the Donbass. And one of the issues on the table in December 2021, January 2022, was, does the United States claim the right to put missile systems in Ukraine? And Blinken told Lavrov in January 2022, the United States reserves the right to put missile systems wherever it wants. So the war started. What was Putin's intention in the war? It was to force Zelensky to negotiate neutrality. And that happened within 7 days of the start of the invasion. Ukraine walked away unilaterally from a near agreement. Why? Because the United States told them to. The idea was that there would be Ukraine, Romania, Bulgaria, Turkey, and Georgia that would deprive Russia of any international status by blocking the Black Sea. And the American senators, who are as nasty and cynical and corrupt as imaginable, say this is wonderful expenditure of our money because no Americans are dying. It's the pure proxy war. And since the U.S. talked the negotiators away from the table, about 1 million Ukrainians have died or been severely
pushing ahead with his America First agenda.
Breaking news, Apple announced it's going to work with Foxconn to build a server factory in Texas by 2026.
The company says it is now planning to invest $500 billion in the U.S. economy.
The CEO of SoftBank pledging to invest $100 billion in the U.S. over the next 4 years.
This is President Trump delivering on the promise he made to the American people on the campaign trail.
The idea is come to America, build greatness in America, build for American customers.
Project Stargate. It's a joint venture between SoftBank, Oracle, and OpenAI, and they're going to create a data center that will eventually be expanded to other states.
Shows people are listening to Mr. Trump's pitch to bring new industry to America.
This is the latest pledge from a foreign business leader promising to spend big in the U.S. as a result of Trump's election victory.
Founder of the property development company DeMac Properties is pledging the money.
President Trump announcing $100 billion investment from Taiwan Semiconductor, bringing the company's total American investments to $165 billion.
The most powerful AI chips in the world will be made right here in America.
Things happen so quickly in the Trump world, right? It's 100 days. Right. It feels like it's 100 months. This is leadership. This is taking control of the problem for military, for everything, for industrial, for our economy. Even if it causes short-term pain, the reality is it is the right decision.
NVIDIA says it will invest hundreds of billions of dollars over the next 4 years. Part of the manufacturing
manufacturing renaissance under President Donald J. Trump.
Furniture maker Prepack are shifting their operations from Canada to North Carolina.
Johnson & Johnson says it will invest more than $55 billion in the U.S. over the next 4 years.
Hyundai announced a $20 billion investment.
With your leadership, Mr. President, Hyundai Motor Group is proud to be a stronger partner in America's industrial future.
This is the automobile industry, and now those plants largely have stopped and they're moving them to our country. Honda is building one of the biggest plants.
The trade story is certainly picking up speed here and pushing more countries to make these bigger investments.
It's another example of the Trump effect.
GE Aerospace announcing a nearly $1 billion investment into American manufacturing.
Eli Lilly announcing plans to expand its manufacturing here in the United States.
$27 billion additional spend, bringing our total to more than $50 billion.
The money's rolling in, and this is in the past 60 some odd days, Charles.
And these are deep-pocketed folks who want to have a relationship, and it's just smart moves.
We are CMA CGM, one of the leaders in shipping and logistics around the world. Today, we are investing $20 billion.
Foreign leaders from around the world, investors from Silicon Valley to Wall Street to Main Street have confidence again in our economy and our markets and in President Trump.
The Trump effect this morning, a string of massive wins for American manufacturing. The numbers speak for themselves. Wisconsin-based Clarios is putting up $6 billion to expand its American operation. And what's driving these decisions? Well, President Trump's aggressive Made in America policies and his commitment to bringing industry back to American soil. This is exactly what Trump promised. America first is back.
But here's the different things they're doing to Musk. Elon issues cryptic warning to those funding Tesla terror attacks. We know who you are, and we're coming. And they found massive evidence of the stolen Social Security numbers and who's stealing it and where it's going. Those criminal referrals have been given to the Justice Department, but as Musk said, the wheels of justice turn slow, but they turn surely. Nina Jankowicz was the disinformation czar for Obama and Biden. I always say Obama because that's who really ran it. Of course, all those documents have now come out. This is a monstrous woman with the WEF as well, and she's the one quarterbacking the Take Down Tesla movement. Tesla sales plummet 13% as Musk backlash grows. Put himself in the arena. Republicans reel as Dems overperformance hits a swing state and MAGA country because the commie judge won. What's he supposed to do? Just not engage? No, we're having the big victories. There's going to be some failures. Elon Musk approval rating plunges to new low. Newsweek. The MAGA backlash arrives. Top strategist launches American opposition to counter the rise of fascism in the United States. And that's the Biden disinformation czar. And what did Musk say? Evil people. They're the fascists. They're the censors. They're the controllers. The American Sunlight Project. I mean, look at these guys. Total garbage. Oh, protect democracy. Oh, yeah, that's what the Democrats do. They say their plan is to destroy Tesla. That means destroy anybody that ever dares stand up to them. Musk also says Institute of Peace wiped a terabyte of data to cover up crimes, but they've been able to obviously recover a lot of it, and they're just continuing to go after these mafias and wreck them. Thank you, God, for President Trump and Elon Musk. Because so many patriots, not as many as 8 years ago, think everything's in the bag. I will assure you our enemies are still attacking. A lot of their funds have been cut off. Their demonstrations have gone down from 20,000, 10,000 to 200, 500. So, yeah, they're bleeding out right now. But we're in the danger zone right now. That's when the cornered rats are the most dangerous. And when you study the Council on Foreign Relations and the UN and the globalists, they've been saying this for years. Just go to the CFR website and say the end of the American century, the rise of the dragon. They've been planning America's decline for now and positioning us for that. Excellent article on Zero Hedge. Is the West about to implode? The West is already imploding, but so is the rest of the world economy because the globalists consolidated wealth and destroyed economies so they can have control socially. Trump and Musk and you, if you support what we're doing, represent an expansionist, prosperity, security, common sense coalition who don't want to be serfs, that don't want to eat bugs. It's that simple. We have been at war since February 3 years ago with Russia. Front page of the New York Times. Oh my God, give them a Pulitzer Prize. And the reason they had this big article that we'll be going over, and the minute I saw this yesterday, and I got so busy I wanted to read the thing first, so I did last night, and boy, did it give me a headache. People think they're getting some big knowledge in here. It's all about it's Zelensky's fault, and the Ukrainians just didn't do what we told them. You can say what you want about Zelensky. He's a bad dude, and the Azov battalions, but, I mean, they're basically Russians. So, and Russians are not known to be exactly pussies in a war. So nobody's saying the Ukrainians haven't fought valiantly. And some numbers are, there's 1 million dead of them. Numbers are much higher than you've been hearing. Numbers of I've got about 1,800,000 dead conservatively on both sides, total. And then you get the CIA and literally dudes at the CIA that the commanders literally wear dresses. You know, that all came out in the internal CIA, NSA pervert chats. They're literally just sitting around talking about chopping kids' penises off all day. They're Satanists. And then they're talking about the Ukrainians. That's the ultimate leftist, though, thing, isn't it? To send a bunch of men off to die and then sit around and say how they didn't do a good job for you. So it's all about how the Ukrainians just suck. They just don't know what they're doing. That reminds me of Hitler when Berlin was surrounded, blaming the Germans for losing. So it's just over the top insane. So that's one big stack, and I'll be going over that. And they've got the draft already instated in multiple countries. They're preparing it in all the others. Germany says women, you need to be prepared to fight for diversity. They literally say for transgenderism, like, we need you to go have nuclear war. We need to chop the Ukrainian children's penises off. That's what it's about. It's a cult. And front page of their newspapers, we must chop the penises off. We must have nuclear war. Chop the penises, chop the penises, chop the penises. That's their goal. They're Satanists. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Say something else real quick, kind of around all this. So in a lot of ways, you know, we are responsible for a lot of things that are happening. For example, you know, talking about arming the cartels and the cartels having, you know, special forces soldiers, training them, things like that. Here's one of the things that we've been doing for a very long time as the U.S. government. We have what's called a mobile training team, or mobile training teams. They're special forces teams that travel all around the world, sponsored by the State Department. They train foreign militaries in tactics, techniques, procedures, TTPs, and U.S. doctrine. And the problem with that is a lot of times these people we go train, they themselves become our adversaries, and or the individuals that we train go off and become the trainers for like the cartel and for the terrorists and the others. So what we're doing indirectly is literally training, besides arming, we're also training our enemies, right? And then we invite them to come over here and fight us. So in a lot of ways, I think we're our own problem. And, you know, I can see the argument, well, we've got to go out and win hearts and minds, you know, and, you know, a quid pro quo. We do something for them. They do something for us. But, you know, who's doing anything for the Americans? At the end of the day, they just take. You know, they throw us under the bus. They expect us to fight their wars. And I'm kind of leaning like, you know, look, I was a warrior, you know, my whole life. And I've gotten to the point where, like, what the hell was I doing, man? I mean, we've done some good things. I was a part of some good operations. And then there's some things that I just shake my head and I look back. It's like, what in the hell was that about? Like Mogadishu, Black Hawk Down, right? That was a total fail. We could have won that. We could have done the job, but it's a political fail. Vietnam was a political fail. So we've created a lot of our own problems.
Well, I mean, Dale, just interject here. And I want you, obviously, you're compartmentalized but smart. You were doing what you were ordered to do, and you're a patriot, and you've done a great job. The issue is the deep state globalists armed over and over again, fast and furious, so many examples, but then again, using them against Syria. Now that's all been declassified, or most of it admitted. Even though Trump said don't do it, they hid, U.S. troops helping him for 2 years. Then the tens of billions of dollars of weapons given to the Taliban in the disastrous, quote, withdrawal was used to arm supply for the takedown of Syria we just saw a few months ago. So this is globalists within, telling you guys you're out training these people as a security force. You say, well, they're going to attack us later, which many times they do it that day or that month. You're absolutely right. But big picture, they are creating these forces to use against other countries, including now the Democrats allied with the drug cartels, the drug gangs, Iran, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, for this uprising that's coming. That's exactly what I'm saying. This is the combined arms militia of the globalists is what I'm saying we're about to face.
Yeah, no, I agree. And so it always comes back to what do we do about it? So this, again, is fifth generation warfare. It's psyops. It's, as I mentioned earlier, misinformation, disinformation, malinformation. It's brainwashing, and there's a science to all this stuff. This is not just, some psychobabble BS. I mean, there's terminology for this, and it's very easy. Look what Hitler did, man. He convinced a bunch of Germans that the Jews are bad and killed a bunch of them, right? Germans, the population didn't have a problem with the Jews, but the government created a problem, right, through brainwashing, and then they wiped out, over 6 million Jews. And that's kind of this process as well. So, at the end of the day, man, we all have live brain cells, and we have to use our brain, and we have to be able to look at things critically, and not just through the lens of the left, and that's kind of where we are. And unfortunately, the war is not just with the invaders that have come in. And when I say invaders, I'm talking about, the terrorists, the cartels, the gangs. But it's also a war with half the U.S. population. They literally have become the adversaries. They have become the opposition. The political divide is so wide now that I honestly, man, I don't feel like I can be friends with a Democrat just because their ideology is so different from mine that it's like, how do I reconcile that? If you're telling me that you're on the left and you believe in killing babies before they're born or right after they're born, mutilating children, you can't define a woman or a man. We got some issues there. I definitely have issues with there, and I can't overlook that, because at the end of the day, my family, my children, your children, they matter, right? And their futures matter. And these people there's pure stupidity and ignorance, and the brainwashing are going to jeopardize all of us. So the war is not just from without and from those that have come in, but it's also already from within. We've got half the population has literally been flipped, and will it ever